Northface Construction, great service from the ground up. Roofing, storm damage, and siding. Call the pros at Northface. A hands-on approach, advice and consulting. Our attention to detail makes the difference. Visit online at northfaceconstruction.com. Northface Construction, great service from the ground up.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Relegated, the official podcast of the Northface Construction Relegation Fantasy Football League. I'm your host, Jack Yeager, alongside Luke Yeager and Andrew Peterson.
Hello, brothers.
Howdy.
Oh, yeah. You can find us on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at Relegation League. You can also find us day-to-day, trade rumors, trade interactions on Yahoo Sports. If you're looking to check out rankings, if you're looking to track week-by-week standings, we're on Yahoo Sports, so make sure to follow us there as well. Today, we're going to be breaking down a few different segments. The first one we're getting into is League Lowdown. We'll be explaining the rules and regulations of the league. Then we'll dive into preseason power rankings, the official preseason power rankings.
Big deal. Very big deal.
Huge deal. Yeah. Some do say the biggest deal of all.
Some.
So we'll be breaking down kind of what we're seeing as potential outcomes for the other teams in the league. And then we'll be getting into Wheel of Misfortune. So we're going to be answering 3 hard-hitting questions about our comrades. I think we'll be dragging a couple buddies through the mud today.
Mostly just Ben Freebie.
Mostly.
And Eli Sunderland.
Roided Rodberries and Slumlord.
That's a tough competition between those two.
Oh, yeah.
Which one you want to drag through the mud more?
I think it's easy. It's Eli.
I got 2 hands. I'll do them both. So we're going to be transitioning into the League Lowdown segment now. Just want to let everybody know that we are not fantasy experts. We are wannabe managers. We're not famous actors, comedians, or anything along those lines of elite status. No, yeah. Give us a couple of years.
Andy's stand-up tour, if you'd like to see the dates, where can they find your
It
tour?
will be, sometime in the future.
Sometime in the future.
We already have dates in October for 2026. So.
Tickets are selling out fast, folks.
Get them while they're hot. Yeah, just want to let you know that we're simply fantasy football owners. We love fantasy football. We love tracking it. We love ripping on our buddies too. So you'll be able to kind of find all that within within the league.
Well said. Very well.
Very concise. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, should we just jump in and talk about what the league is?
Now,
then?
Luke, how did you form the league?
How did I form it?
Because this is Luke's brainchild, everyone. This is Luke's baby.
This is his baby.
It is my baby. And but I
did review the rules kind of once. So
You
I
did.
feel like I should get like 60% of the credit.
Well,
60%.
Wow. Well, I actually wasn't going to give you any of the
I
credit.
don't deserve any credit.
The credit was going to go. Part of the credit was going to go to Ian Durbin, owner of Pond Feet FC.
Yeah. Fair.
So we were in a league together. About 10 of us guys in this league were in a previous league, and we were trying to figure out what a league punishment should be. Basically, one of the suggestions was that people who take last should get kicked out of the league. They shouldn't be in it anymore. Nobody wanted to get kicked out, so the league got voted down.
Yeah. A little cutthroat.
It was cutthroat, but that's what turned into this league.
Yeah.
So we took 16 guys. We got 16 teams and 20-man rosters. It's not a dynasty league per se. It's more of a keeper league on steroids. So it's going to be based on salary caps, which the players' prices and salaries are going to be based off of what they were drafted for in our, what's it called? Preliminary draft? Our startup draft.
I'd say the initial draft.
Our initial
Yeah, the
draft.
initial
So,
draft.
like, if I draft Daniel Jones for $4, next year I could keep him for $8, correct?
Exactly. So you can keep as many guys from your team as you want, but it has to stay within the salary cap. And the salary cap is $175. So
And in
we
the initial
drafted for
draft, we had $200. Yeah.
Correct. So guys will get cut. This is a business.
Yeah.
We're not
in here to mess around, all right?
No,
Here to
Spreewell
learn.
might have to take care of his kids. We don't care.
We're all desperately alone and childless. So
That's right.
we have our fantasy football
That is-
teams to worry about.
Exactly. So this league is a love child of the Premier League and fantasy football. So we have 16 teams, but at the end of this year, only 8 of those teams will be will remain in the championship league. Everybody else will get kicked out and put to the relegated league. So it'll break into 2 leagues. And next year, the top 8 teams will only play the top 8 teams. They're the only ones who can win the championship. The bottom 8 are competing to take first and second in that league, and those 2 will get promoted into the into the championship league. So lot riding on that because there's bigger prizes in the championship league. You get more salary bonuses to sign more players. Your teams will just be better. A lot like the Premier League, or some of it was taken from how F1 works, where the top teams get rewarded more. If you take first, you get more money to spend next year. So
Luke, would you say this is the only fantasy football league that combines F1, Premier League, and American football?
yeah, Guinness reached out to us and they said,
Oh, good to know.
They're like, we need to make a new plaque.
yeah, most dynamic
My God.
fantasy league ever.
We haven't played a single down, and we're already in the Guinness Book of
Oh,
World
yeah.
Records.
We're
Yes.
front runners for that category.
Some would say we're kind of a big deal.
Babies.
Relegation League, baby.
But AP, do you want to touch a little bit on some of the scoring that goes?
It's a pretty standard actually setup other than everything you just talked about, Luke. So pretty much nothing. But
other than that.
again, it's a half-point PPR league, 6 points per passing touchdown, which inflates the value of some of the pocket passing quarterbacks, which I know we liked because rushing QBs typically just get such an advantage.
Just overpowered.
And at the end of the day, when Justin Fields is throwing for 2,200 yards, I feel like that shouldn't count for
Yeah, true.
like the same as Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
With that said, rushing QBs are still an advantage. And then with the starting rosters, we do a pretty simple 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, and interestingly, 2 flex. So I think a lot of the better teams will have wide receivers in that position, but again, we'll see what people do. I know that some people have, I believe I saw 2 tight ends. Oh boy, this could be interesting.
Breaking
folks.
news, those
Yes.
are not in the top 3.
No, that will be ranked very low. In
Yeah,
my
spoiler
rankings.
alert, not breaking news.
All right, so getting into our power ranking lists. Each of us created our own power ranking list. We took the aggregate ranking to create this official league power ranking. We'll reveal each team, starting at number 16 and ending with our number 1 ranked team. We each selected an MVP pick of the draft and an RIP pick of the draft. So a little bit of an explanation on that. Our MVP pick is the draft pick that we believed was drafted at the best value, not necessarily the cheapest, not necessarily the most expensive, but just at the highest value. We're taking that into consideration with draft price, how much the player will help their team stay promoted this year, and how much the player will hold value for this team in years to come. And then on the contrary, RIP pick is the draft pick that we believe was created or drafted at the worst value. All right, so should we get
Cutting that
into number 16?
Yes.
I think this is a pretty easy 16.
Yeah, I think we were right on the money. All of us pretty much had him in the bottom 5 at the very least.
Yes.
Yes.
That is true
So
mathematically.
coming in at 14.66, we have the roided raw berries.
For those who don't know, Ben Freebie, you suck. You basic.
The 14.66 is the average of our ranking.
So, for example, like Luke and I both ranked Ben's team as last, and Jack ranked him at 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Therefore, the 14.66.
Exactly.
Math.
So, well, since we both had him at 16, why don't we have Jack explain why he thought he was not the worst team?
So I do have other teams that I think are worse than Freebie's team. I think some of his advantages going into strengths, starting out with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to carry week in and week out. If he stays healthy, Patrick Mahomes is easily QB1 in the league. He also has a lot of upside with younger guys like Bijan Robinson. I don't think that he has a ton of depth. I actually think he probably has the second worst team in the league for depth, which is why he's in the bottom, section of the
Wait,
of
who's
the
the
power
worst
ranking.
ranked team for depth?
Who do
You
I
can put
have?
me.
No, I don't think so.
You did it?
I think
I put
me
you.
as worst.
I put you.
I think
for
I got
sure.
you. Oh, don't worry, I got you down there.
Thank you. All right, good.
And then just the last strength, talking about the Royd Robberries. I think he's got Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Hawkinson, who should be huge components for any weeks that he does win. But I think the weakness is on no depth. RB should be solid, but if we lose Bijan, he loses his entire core. And then I do think that Hawkinson will drop a bit in standings this year for tight ends.
Right. And maybe let's go through what his starting lineup is going to be for right now. So his QB1 is Patrick Mahomes. His RB1 is Raheem Mostert. Yes.
I actually don't
That's his
mind.
two?
Well, I
You
don't mind RB because of that Jeff Wilson going on IR. I think.
Oh
he's-
wait, that is his RB2.
so which
That is his
why-
RB2. Bijan should be his
You're
one.
right. Bijan Robinson
Whereas
is
you would
RB1.
like to say Brian Robinson.
Brian
Yes.
Robinson.
Which pretty much same guy.
It did change rankings quite a bit. Well, I still put him at 16, so I guess
But
not
I think
that
with
much.
Wilson going on IR to start the season, that definitely makes Mostert a more compelling RB2.
Yep.
But even so,
But
the
do you
fact
think
that-
he makes it to week 2? Mostert probably won't. His wide receiver 1 is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
which I really like, and I think he got great value at that pick with only $42, which I thought was one of the best buys of the draft. Unfortunately, he did not take advantage of that value.
No,
With these last couple
it up.
players.
He followed it up. He got Marquez Valdez-Scantling for his wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Ugh.
He got
tough
TJ
two.
Hawkinson as his tight end. And spoiler alert, that's my RIP
Wow.
pick.
That's a strong take, I think.
Okay, here.
I think that.
We can't get into this yet.
Okay, sorry.
Well,
sorry.
let's
Guys,
finish.
come on.
Okay, so he's
Have
got
some composure.
It's not like this is my first podcast. All right.
his flex is Isaiah Hodgins and Rashid Shaheed. But okay, so let's go back to the RIP pick.
Yeah.
I think the Hawkinson's not the worst tight end. Obviously, I think
I
he's
hope
probably
as
a
a
top
Vikings
5.
fan, we just paid him almost $70 million. He better not be the
I know.
worst.
I think he's a good tight end. He is going to get him points. He's going to be very steady for him.
Yeah.
The problem is the price he paid after he already spent a ton
On
on
Bijan.
Patrick
Spending
Mahomes.
on-
And Bijan. Oh,
It was more the one-off position. So he spent a ton on Mahomes,
Yeah.
a ton on Hawkinson, and that left. I mean, that's why.
Well, and that's why,
Raheem
like-
Mostert and Marquise Valdez-Scantling are his.
Was that Marquise? Marquise Valdez Scantling.
Marquise.
My brother. That's my joke. Well, I think at the end of the day, strategically too, like going with an advanced onesie position is really only advantageous in a really small league.
Yeah, it's better
And-
in a 10-teamer.
Correct, because you can find that depth at wide receiver and tight
Right.
end later in the draft.
Right,
But in
yeah.
a 16-team, 20-player draft, when Freebie spends almost $70 at wide receiver, at quarterback and tight end, I just think his lack of depth, or that really shows later.
It's
I think it's interesting
I think
too
it's
that
gonna hurt.
his flex spots. You're looking at Darnell Washington, Shaheed, and Patterson.
Well, so my flex, it's going to be Hodgins, Shaheed.
Oh yeah, he'll put Hodgins as his flex.
But either way,
But still,
I think
Hodgins
it's
is
well, Hodgins was okay last season, but I think that they
not a
clearly
fan.
weren't satisfied with him by bringing in Waller
Right.
and some other wide receivers.
right.
I don't know. At the end of the day, my comments on Freebie's team are he's got, again, Mahomes, Hawkinson, St. Brown, and Robinson.
Yeah.
Bijan. I
Bijan.
think that
Bijan and Marquise.
it's a weird French league we got here as well. Yes. Again, I think he's got a great start to his starting lineup, but after that, I think the team entirely falls off the wagon.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
I
with
gave
that.
it a C- for a starting lineup.
I gave his bench also a C-.
I gave it a D.
Did you give it a D?
did.
Okay, let me look at.
I gave it pretty low.
I gave it a big
I
D.
actually wasn't going off of letter grading. I was going off of numbers.
Jack decided to make his own entirely different system.
He went rogue, but it was more efficient.
Yes, it only took 6 hours. While me and you were just, it took us only 3 hours.
I think that just shows the depth that I went into it to find these decimals.
Why don't we just read off of some of what you wrote for this team, Jack? I'm just curious.
Well, I've already kind of talked about it a little bit. If you'd like me to go in more depth,
I just want to
totally
read.
can.
We want some numbers.
Just
all right?
repeat it. Could we
Yes.
spend a half hour on the roided raw berries?
By far the most
And that's our
important.
first episode. Thanks for coming.
16 weeks later, we'll get through every team.
No, essentially, I think we've kind of covered it, but I think that he really doesn't have any depth. I think that's what's going to kill him the most. If he has any injuries in his top 4 guys, he's a bit screwed. I like certain players like Shaheed. I think he could be
it's
something
interesting.
fun in New Orleans, but that's kind of predicting that Michael Thomas goes out. Like if he gets injured, then you have Shaheed come in as wide receiver 2.
Well, isn't Shaheed he's more of a slot guy, isn't he?
I want to see he's a deep threat.
Is he? Oh, I had that wrong.
And well,
I
okay,
actually-
Again, folks, we are not fantasy experts.
I think, yes, Shaheed, very good football player.
Yeah.
cool name.
I might be confusing him.
NFL player.
Yeah, he's a. I think he's black.
His name like Shaheed, he might be Swedish. I think that my problem structurally with Freebie's team, though, is that with his bench swings, I feel like the guys he did take are low upside, old.
Like Zeke.
Again, Zeke,
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson, Allen Robertson, Kenyon Drake. And the most confusing pick of the draft, a fullback, and Kyle Juice. Yeah, Kyle Juice. He's jacked. But I don't think he's ever offered any fantasy value ever. Maybe there might have been a period.
If he can get a touchdown.
But drafting a fullback when you've got other $1 players.
I don't think he'll stay on the team.
You're probably right.
No,
but
probably not.
I just do not like how he structured his bench.
No.
I actually did forget that he had Zeke, and I would put Zeke in a possible flex spot, and that would probably change my rating a little bit.
I also
He's a red zone threat. He is. He's always going to be.
He's old, he's fat, and he's bad.
All right. Well, you heard it here first.
AP,
we have a
what was
camera on
your
this
40
kid?
time?
Faster than Zeke. In high school, I think I ran a 4.9 at one time, right?
Really?
Dwight Nelson tied it. I'd question the accuracy. But I was a D1 athlete, folks.
That is true. In golf.
A D1 athlete.
All right. So getting into the next team on our power rankings list, number 15, we have African Token.
Better known as Bakanzi.
Bakanzi Moise.
Yeah, Bakanzi. Luke, do you want to start off with kind of what you're thinking about the Token team?
I had him at 15 originally.
I also had him at 15 originally.
And Jack, you had him at 13, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Why don't we make the case for why he's so bad, and then Jack can try and argue against it?
I like that.
Yeah.
I can start this off. So my main problem with Bakanzi's team is my initial thought is it's a dangerous team that could work. But
Why don't you say what he has first? So
okay,
people
so
know.
Bakanzi's roster, we're looking at it starting. We've got Rodgers at quarterback. Then we have Tyreek Hill and Tyler Boyd at wide receiver. Running backs, we've got Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs. Tight end, George Kittle. Flex positions, Dalton Schultz and Chase Claypool.
Oh, you went Chase?
Well, that's just what he has in Yahoo right now.
Oh, did
Yeah.
he? Okay. When I
And then
checked it, he didn't have it updated.
And then the bench, we've got Carr, Singletary, Kendrick Bourne, Gaskin, Sterling Shepard, Randall Cobb, Travis Homer, Keaton Mitchell, Juwan Jennings, Justice Hill, Keeney Ngwangu, and Noah Brown. I think there's some interesting players here, but the fact that Bakanzi also nominated like 45 players who were already taken definitely did not help his rankings.
He was also the only guy doing 2 drafts. He was in the middle
Priorities,
of a
man. Also, he has children. Priorities. Okay? Unbelievable. I gave Bakanzi a starting lineup grade of C-. And I said, I like Hill and Chubb. Again, elite players at important positions, but that's about it. I think Rodgers at quarterback was a massive overpay.
Yep.
For an over.
What did he pay?
I think
16?
no, he didn't pay that much. So I've got him at, I think it was 7 or 8.
Okay.
But I still think for a 40-year-old QB who's on a different team, who doesn't rush, who's probably not going to have to throw that much with that
6
elite
point passing
defense,
TD.
I don't think there's going
6
to need to.
point.
I just don't think Rodgers is going to be good. Also, Tyler Boyd at wide receiver too. Need I say anything more than that?
No,
hurt.
that's hurt. That hurts.
And then finally, I think Kittle could be interesting.
I do too.
The 2 weeks he scores 50 points.
That's true.
And
He's
the other
very-
15 weeks, it's going to be just a miserable experience.
Very
Yeah.
boomer bust. That's kind of what I wrote down, that if this was a 4v4 league, if you only had to start your top 4 guys, he'd have a great squad.
Correct.
True.
Incredible squad.
Yep.
After that, he has
And I think
pretty much nothing.
going back to and then going onto the bench, I gave him a D grade on the bench because kind of like Freebie, mostly the kinds of players I don't like to take, which are low upside, low floor plays.
Your D was generous. I gave him a D-.
Oh,
I know.
I gave him
big D-.
I wrote down worst depth in the league. Yeah.
I mean, again, what do Kendrick Bourne, Myles Gaskin, Randall Cobb, Justice Hill, and Noah Brown really do for this team?
Yeah.
Like,
when your most optimal player for a flex position is Singletary as a back,
or
not looking great.
Oh, I
Dalton
had
Schultz.
I had
mean,
Randall Cobb. That was I thought he might go Randall.
either way.
It's
I mean,
bad.
Randall Cobb is old, and I have in my notes this has all the looks of a relegated team
Ooh,
yeah.
in caps.
relegated.
Relegated.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you, Andy. I think Kittle coming in at tight end 2 last year was a bit of an outlier for him, considering the fact that he's never scored more than 6 touchdowns in a season. I don't see him scoring 11 again this year, so I think his value does go down a little bit. Obviously, Kittle is still a very optimal tight end, but I did rank him pretty low across the board against the other tight ends that other people had drafted. So getting into the strengths a little bit, I do think Rodgers will see improvement this year as opposed to last year. I don't think he was happy in Green Bay. I think he's.
What makes you say that?
I think
This guy's an analyst here, folks.
I know. We're
We got
getting
an
nice.
NFL insider over here.
I think his production was a little bit down in Green Bay. I do think he's getting older, but I do think he has more assets in New York, and he's happier now that I think.
Well, he just brought all the Green Bay assets with him to New York.
kind of, but now he's got a guy like Garrett Wilson as opposed to an Al
An
Lazard.
excellent player who anyone would be lucky to have on their team. Yes.
I say average. No, but I also don't think that Kittle will finish in the top 4 for tight ends this year, which I think hurts him, and his wide receiver core is lacking outside of Tyreek Hill. So essentially, it would be nice to have some depth. He has probably the worst depth in the league. That's why I put him so low on the list.
But still way worse than Freebie, right? Or wait. Freebie's way worse than
Freebie is way
so
worse.
much worse. The worst team
Even though
in league history,
Jack-
some might say.
Jack rated Bakanzi worse. Yeah. He did rank
Freebie, the
as
worst
well.
team in the league.
What did Rob Berry's more like? All natural Rob Berry's.
Am I right?
Right?
It's a Monsanto Rob Ayers, yes. Wait, Monsanto's not a thing anymore, are they?
I don't even know. I just laughed because, go with it.
I will say, I know we touched base on this a little bit, but for the African token, his running backs are the best duo in the league out of any team.
Yes.
Easily. Not easily, but
I
by
think
a fair
Jacobs is
margin.
scary, though.
He could be, but he also could be scary in a good way.
Yeah, no. I think it's a dangerous team that I think maybe in like week 14 we could all be surprised that it's higher than we initially thought.
Agreed. Yeah.
True.
But I also would not be surprised if this was the last ranked team in the league.
Agreed.
He needs to get very lucky with no injuries.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. He's really banking on a Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs season. And Tyreek Hill to carry Boyd and Claypool. Let's move on to the next team. We're going to be diving into number 14 on our power ranking list, and that would be the Great North Number Punchers.
Number punchers.
Nate Birch.
Punch them numbers.
Punch them numbers. He's a mathematician.
Oh, yeah.
I can kind of get into my strengths and weaknesses of the team.
What'd you rank him? Personally?
Jack went 11, I went 12, you went 13, Luke.
13.
Yeah.
Okay,
wanna
so I
start?
had him the
Yeah.
worst. Yeah. Okay. So I think McCaffrey and Kelsey, great.
Yeah,
Obviously
of course.
incredible players, but obviously very expensive.
Yeah.
Took up all the money. When I was ranking him, at one point he was first in my ratings.
Yeah.
Why was that, Luke?
Then I found out that his RB2 is not Bijan Robinson.
Correct.
It's Brian Robinson. Big difference.
Just a couple letters.
A couple letters and
And so many
he
fantasy
dropped
points.
12 power ranking spots.
Yeah. That's
So
tough.
his starting QB is Jared Goff.
Yep.
RB1, Christian McCaffrey. RB2, Brian Robinson. Wide receiver 1, DJ Moore. Wide receiver 2, Michael Pittman. Tight end, Travis Kelce. Flex, Sam Laporta. And
Laporta. Hardly Noah. Seamless.
timeless.
I actually didn't see that he had Pittman Jr. on his wideout list. For whatever reason, I didn't see him on there. So that would probably change my rating a bit.
A little bit.
we're here now.
I last flex, Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
and,
actually-
and then it goes on from there for Tank Dell and Hyatt, right? Those are
And
his.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson.
So-
Johnson or Johnston? Johnson.
I think it's
Johnston.
I think. Yeah.
I have almost the same comments, Luke, where it's initial thoughts. I like his studs. I don't like the wide receivers he bought, but it's not bad. Starting lineup, I gave him a C because I love McCaffrey and Kelsey.
Yeah.
But after that, I really just don't like the players he bought. I think specifically DJ Moore. Given
Yeah.
the pass volume in Chicago, like I just don't
If-
think mathematically it's possible for
It's
Moore
all-
to be
yeah.
a wide receiver
Right.
this season.
Fields has to take the Josh
Jalen
Allen
Hurts,
step.
yeah.
It has to be pretty big.
And the same with Michael Pittman, like rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson, who couldn't throw the ball well in college. I don't know what's going to change in his first year. Maybe he just gets peppered with targets,
But if that does take off, he does have Anthony Richardson on his bench.
which I like that stack.
Yeah, it's not a bad backup pick. I think Goff is a safe QB. I just think his flex options are so weak right now.
Yeah, they're bad.
But I do like Laporta. I mean, rookie tight ends generally are a bad bet to make, but I think in this case, when it's so wide open in Detroit, and they did pay a pretty heavy, pricey pick for him,
Is it that open?
who else is that? There is no other tight end.
No, but it doesn't matter if there's no other tight end. It's pass catchers. So
I mean, you
Amon
have
Ra is going to be
Amon-Ra.
one, and you're going to get Jameer Gibbs is going to get a ton of
Still, if you
targets
can be
this
the
year.
third pass catcher on an offense, like
That's
I don't know, Jamison Williams is out.
true.
Who else is there?
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones, the corpse of
Josh
Marvin
Reynolds.
Jones. Yeah.
Josh Reynolds. I really don't. I think Laporta will be maybe the 5th most targeted player. Maybe. I just, he's, like you said, rookie tight end. probably
I do
not going
think-
to cut it.
I think with Birch's team, though, I ranked his bench better than his starting lineup because I think he picked some really interesting players like, again, Anthony Richardson, John Mechie, Quentin Johnston, is it Justin Ross, Jalen Hyatt. I just think those are really fun players that you probably should be taking a swing on in this league. But I don't like Odell at all, nor do I like, where was it? Gus Edwards, I think, is just kind of a wasted pick. But at the end of the day, I thought Birch had
I forgot to say that. He only has 3 running backs.
I forgot about
That was a major, because we were talking about him. I'm like, maybe we rated him too low. He only has 3
Is that
running
really
backs. And it's
CMC, Brian Robinson, and Gus Edwards?
Good thing
yes.
CMC doesn't have a lengthy injury history either. Good thing Brian Robinson didn't get shot in the leg last year either.
I don't think that'll repeat.
You don't know. Knock on wood, folks.
Yeah.
All right.
The thing I will say about DJ Moore is in the last season, he did have just shy of 900 yards, which is less than the last 4 years, like the last 3 years before that. He was hitting 1,100 yards pretty easily. So with less attempts, I mean, he still plays most games. He gets about 16 games per season every single year. And I think the outlier for DJ Moore's status being that wide receiver 20 was that he had 7 touchdowns. Now, I think that probably could go down this year. Might go down to like 5, maybe 6, maybe 4, whatever.
Well, it's a pretty big drop from 7 to 6, Jack.
Yeah,
You think he'd be able to recover?
Yeah, I don't know. But I do think that his yards go up. I think that he breaks 1,000 yards now that he's in Chicago with Justin Fields.
I strongly disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Justin Fields is not known for throwing a ton
That
of
would
balls.
be
But
so. Let's just say Justin Fields threw for 2,200 yards last season.
yeah,
Tell me DJ Moore gets almost 50% of those yards.
I think Fields throws for more.
I do
like
think he throws
3,000
for
this
Do you
year.
want to make a
Oh,
bet?
I don't think it's 3,000. I think it's about 2,600.
2,600?
Yeah.
If you think he goes over 1,000 yards, that's insane.
Who?
DJ Moore.
Oh, I'm talking about Fields.
No.
No. But I'm saying if you think DJ Moore goes over 1,000 and Fields has less than 3,000 passing yards,
Who else is he passing to in Chicago?
Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet,
Oh,
Khalil
Chase
Herbert.
Claypool,
Khalil Herbert catching a lot out of the backfield.
of course.
someone else too.
I don't know. I could see.
Thing is,
I
they
still
also
think
last
Last year, they literally ran it, I think, the highest rate in the league.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I just
So you have a bad quarterback when they run it a lot.
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough.
I don't think maybe 2,600 is probably a good over under, but
Back to
I
my
would take
original
over.
question, Luke.
I would take over
You
on the
wanna go
2,600.
I would go
I'd
over on
probably
that.
go over as well.
I'd go over on
Yeah.
that too.
I'm gonna say like 3,200.
Oh, so then if that's the case,
Why were you
then
taking the? I said 3,000. You said, would you like to make a bet on that?
he wanted to go high.
Yeah, I was taking the over. Did you hear my argument? I think he's going to thrive this year. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
All right, moving into our next team. Are we on 14th?
13.
13th.
13.
We're on 13th. Let me get back to it real quick.
Well, I can take it if you'd like.
Oh, if you want
I'm
to.
right
you
there.
like the host?
Yeah.
Should you be
He
prepared for
is.
this?
I was
He
just,
is.
I'm back and forth between 4 different pages.
Oh.
I got to look up DJ Moore stats. All right, so getting into number 13, we got the Bourbon Barrels at an 11.66 rating. Where did you guys put Bourbon Barrels on
A
your
lot
list?
lower than you.
Yeah, Jack, I think you need to explain yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
So I put the Bourbon Barrels at 7th, and I'm going to tell you why in a second.
Why don't we read out the starting roster?
Well, let's say where we put him first. We both had him at 14.
Yeah.
So
I got
One
faith in
thing
my boy
is
Joe.
not like the other here. All right.
Yeah.
sorry, Joe.
No, shout out Joe.
It might have been the best man in your wedding, but
Guy brings his.
what have you done for me lately?
He brings his daughter on camera trying to get sympathy points.
Yes,
Not here.
please.
Not here.
This is a hard
I
hitting
had him at
fantasy league,
13 until he did that.
If anything, that
Dropped
dropped his
him, yeah.
ranking, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh.
Yeah, so let's read off his roster real quick. Is it up here right here?
So we've got Cooper Kupp, Lamar Jackson, Stephon Diggs, Tyler Higbee, AJ Dillon, Rashad Bateman, Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited.
We were watching a lot of Russell Wilson
And
before
by
this
we,
podcast.
it was just me.
Just
We got Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Gibson, Gainwell, Kareem Hunt, Greg Dulcich, Josh Kelly, Leonard Fournette, Josh Downs, Richie James, Josh Palmer, Matt Collins, Kyle Phillips, and Chris Evans rounding out his team. So, Jack, how in the world do you think this is the 7th ranked team in the league?
So I'll say I think some of the upside that the Bourbon Barrels bring to the table is I do think that they have some fun depth. I'm not saying it's a guarantee that this is where they're going to stay for the remainder of the year, but the fact that he has
Is that a hedge?
a hedge.
it was definitely a hedge. You're basically making sure that people know. You know what? I could be wrong because of these things, but if
I don't want
everything
to say
goes
the word
right,
capitulation, but
Can I talk?
I don't
Can I
know.
talk? Can I talk? I think some of the guys that I really like to see on his team, I think Juju is a great flex option that he has. I think that Kareem Hunt and Fournette are fun players to have.
LOL.
Kareem Hunt is going to get picked up. I think Fournette is probably going to get picked up too.
But they haven't.
But they haven't
So we got
yet.
2 free agent running backs
Yeah.
and an old disappointing slot wide receiver for the new Mac Jones-led New England Patriots.
I don't hate it. That's all I'm saying. I think some of his biggest strengths outside of the flex spots. I actually like Lamar this year, considering he sees the field. I do see him obviously doing better than last year, but I think he kind of gets back to not quite MVP status, but a higher caliber where he finishes top 5 in the QB race.
He does have
agree.
more. He has more weapons.
Yeah, he
I
does.
think Lamar's a really fun. And I also think, like, given the value where he only paid $26 for Lamar,
That
that's a
was-
good pick.
that
Like,
is a good
was in
pick.
that first tier of QBs, he definitely got the best value.
Yeah. And for me, I think I'm looking at this team very optimistically. I could have taken it the other way, but I do think if Cooper Kupp stays healthy, I think obviously he's an outstanding wide receiver.
Jack, did you hear the news that Cup was in Minnesota today trying to get at the root of his hamstring issues?
Not before I made my power rankings. Yeah. So I'd
damn shame,
I'd like to
isn't
put the
it?
Burn Barrels at 14 as well. No, I see potential in a healthy Cooper Kupp, obviously, and then I also see potential in a happy Stephon Diggs, which right now doesn't seem like either of those are very promising.
No,
So that does drop his rating a bit, but I'm gonna stick with my answer
it's 7.
because I like you, Joe.
I like you too, Joe. I don't like your picks.
Yeah,
I
Luke,
don't
yeah,
think
what do you
Cooper
think?
Kupp is going to stay healthy.
I don't either now.
I mean, at best, I think he'll look like Keenan Allen last year, where he was out for a major chunk of the season. If he comes back, he's a great player.
Yeah,
I just don't think he'll give much playing time. Lamar is great, like you said. Rashad Bateman at the flex. I'm not high on Bateman this year.
I disagree. I like I think betting on the Ravens passing game, especially when you have Jackson, you're already making that bet. Why not take a swing at
That's
Bateman
true.
as well?
You are right. You are right. But then I couldn't rate him any higher until Fournette and Hunt get signed. Next week, if we do another power rankings, next week he might be higher if those guys
I
are
feel
signed.
like
But I can't give it to him yet because
Fournette
they're
and
not.
Hunt, like, where would they go? They weren't good last year. Like, where are they going to go where they are suddenly going to vault up? RB
Hunt's
rankings?
let's say they
but-
sign with Arizona.
yeah.
Bad offense, terrible team.
But how long is Connor going to stay on that field?
Well, one of us hopes for a long time.
One of us
A
does.
long time.
Two of us do not expect it. I'm trying to think where else exactly he could go.
Honestly, the Vikings, if Madison goes down, that would probably. I know we
Kareem
brought
Hunt comes in as a
Hunt.
backup.
But I think at the end of the day, my thoughts on Joe's team, very similar to yours, Luke, where I think I wrote it's a dangerous team.
Yeah.
Some might say it's the danger witch of the teams.
Oh,
Russell Wilson. You see that? You see that?
Oh, he did have that clip. You lost me for a second. I'm there.
It's a deep cut.
It wasn't that good.
It's brilliant. But I still see it as a below average team. I think starting AJ Dillon and Antonio Gibson, it's pretty weak at
Yeah.
running back.
Yeah, I would agree with
That
that.
I mean, I
is
think
so
again,
weak.
I think Kupp, Jackson, and Diggs, if they stay healthy, can make up for that. But I still gave the starting lineup a C- grade, and the bench I did not like.
D+.
No, I actually gave it a B-
Oh,
Whoa,
because
that's
all
even
right,
higher
let's
than
see.
mine, and I liked it. I gave it like
Russell
a C+.
Wilson, I think, is a wasted pick.
Yeah, agreed.
Fournette and Palmer, I'm also not huge on, but pulling this up,
Juju, Gainwell.
yeah, like Gainwell's a really fun pick. Dulcich, Kelly, Downs, Richie James, Kyle Phillips, Chris Evans. I might just be saying this though because he sniped like all of my $1 players I nominated that went for $2. So
he did.
I might be slightly biased here.
All right, should we move into our
Number
next
12.
Number 12. So for 12, we got the Big Lake Lumberjacks coming in at a 10.66.
Sponsored by Ember Coffee House,
Yeah,
as he made note several times during the draft.
way too cool.
Yeah,
He
I will-
actually got sponsored.
He
by them,
really
right?
did.
That's
He
awesome.
has a team sponsor. He's sold out, and we all wish we had.
Yeah,
Curse these morals I have.
Fitbit, if you're looking for a sponsor,
No, I thought Ross. I mean,
Ross
curious
is,
where you guys ranked him because I had Ross ranked at number 10, and I see Luke had him at
I had
8.
him 8. Yeah,
But
I was.
Jack, you had 14, which I tend to lean more on your side, Jack.
yeah. I think some of the issues that he's running into is he's got injury capable running backs. Potential that they stay healthy. Obviously, every player has the opportunity to get injured, but that was one of the issues. And then flex is going to be a killer if we don't see it. If we do see a decent amount of injuries, I think his flex options or his bench options are not coming in and making big waves.
See, I'm actually looking at this team, and I feel like I actually think I should raise it up where you have it,
Yeah.
Luke, because
No, here's the thing. It's a studs and duds for sure. And I don't typically like that, which is, I mean, I have a middle of the pack, borderline relegation. But I do think Pollard, I mean,
Pollard could literally be the number one RB.
he could be great. He could be great. Joe Burrow is going to be a stud.
Yeah.
And I also really
Especially
like
for a
the,
6-point passing league.
I like the Addison buy.
I
do
like
too.
Addison.
And even though Dobbins was an overpay,
Also,
like I like Dobbins as a player.
me too. Back to Addison. That's my MVP pick.
Are you kidding me?
No, dead
How
serious.
much did he go for?
$12.
In hindsight, that does seem like a good
$12.
deal.
He
For
could,
who?
Addison.
Oh.
If he becomes what Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, if he becomes what those guys are, those
Yeah.
guys went for $44.
Yeah.
He could have the Jordan Addison for 4 years and never even touch that.
Yeah, true. That's a
I
good
guess I
point.
didn't think about that. That is a really good future.
So
pick.
Going back to Dobbins, he did tear his ACL in 2021. And then in 2022, he played 9 games. Last year, 2 rushing touchdowns and 500 yards on 92 attempts.
but a lot of times the ACL guys are back to 100% in the second year.
Okay.
So
Did you see how he was running last year though?
With
he had
one
a
leg?
freaking limp. Like it did
did.
not look good.
Yeah.
he did, but
With that said, like
think
who
he's
else
gonna
is?
be
I think
good.
the Ravens are going to have a good offense this year. Dobbins has shown he's a really efficient rusher, and I'm not scared with Gus Edwards behind him. Like I really think.
Yeah.
And also looking at Ross's bench, a lot of really interesting players. People
Chark.
like Chark. Will
Chark
Levis
is actually
even.
his flex right now.
Oh, is it?
He currently has Chark as his flex, yeah.
Okay.
Chark and
Travion
Paris
Williams,
Campbell.
Jaden Reed, Roshan Johnson.
Paris Campbell as his flex?
Campbell was like, I don't know. Again, I think this is a flawed team, but the more I think about it, I probably agree with you, Luke,
Yeah.
in that I'd probably move him up to 9.
Wouldn't Campbell be behind Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce? Or does he take a spot before any of those guys?
Pittman?
No. Paris Campbell.
He'll be third.
He'll be third in front of Pierce or Downs?
I would probably rank his
is
wide
probably
receivers.
behind. I don't know
I'd
how
go-
Downs plays.
Downs plays for Indy.
No, I know
They
who
all
he
play
plays
for Indy.
No, I don't know what, like, if he's an outside
Totally
receiver.
knew that.
I think
I just see Paris Campbell as like the number 4 out there, but I don't know.
He
their
plays
depth.
for the Giants.
Paris Campbell.
Yes, that's why I was like, what are you guys talking
Wait,
He
what?
does? When did he
The
sign with
Giants
the
signed
Giants?
him
I
this
haven't-
offseason.
Oh, I have an Indy.
Wow.
Yes.
Never mind. I'm putting Ross at number 1. Number 1, baby. Championship game.
I was ashamed on this podcast.
Yeah, my bad.
My good name's slandered.
Okay, but that's
still don't
even
love it.
yeah. It doesn't change anything.
Nah, it's about the
It's
same.
more, I kind of like his running back depth. I think he has some interesting flyers.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Oh, here's one thing that we do have to talk about. Kyle Pitts. I do not believe in Kyle Pitts. I do not.
I think that was a great buy.
I think everybody
do too.
believes in him because he's going into his 3rd year, and that's what everybody says. Like, oh, tight ends blossom in their 3rd year. I just do not see it.
blossoming into a man.
I just don't see it. I think there was too much disappointment from last year that I don't see the
last year,
improvement in Atlanta.
Injured. Marcus Mariota was. Did you see quarterback
Yeah, he was
on
horrendous.
Netflix? He was bad.
Yeah, he's terrible.
I'm not saying Ritter is that much
And
of an improvement.
now who do you have in Atlanta for a quarterback?
Desmond Ritter, or honestly, probably Taylor Heineke would be the best option.
Taylor Heineke would be more promising than Ritter, but I don't trust either of them to go off and improve
The
somebody's
odds are
career.
probably that Kyle Pitts has another inconsistent season.
That's
but
kinda what I'm expecting.
There's very few tight ends who can finish as the number 1 overall player. Like
could.
Kyle Pitts is that player.
He
Like it's a
could.
bet that you want to make. For tight end.
Don't see it.
If
First
Ritter,
rookie season went over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And also, other than Drake London, who's there?
Matt Collins, is that? I think that's their
it's
number
Matt
2.
Collins, and then there's another guy too.
Bijan Robinson.
That's true.
Bijan.
Bijan will get some passes. So all in all, I think
I think Ross is probably the fact appropriately ranked in that 10-ish range.
yeah, I think I would
I
change.
think you're a little
it's
low
funny,
on him.
I do
Yeah.
too, actually. I think it's funny as we go on, I like learn things about certain guys, like I don't know where they play. And it does change my aspect on some things. Even just talking to you guys a little bit, it does
We
change.
are very smart and convincing, are we
Yeah.
not, Luke? Yes.
Brilliant.
Very
Yeah.
humble.
Just
as well.
learning
Some
more
would
and
say
more
I'm a
information about
smart, dumb person.
Others would say I'm a very dumb, smart person.
So we're a pretty good team.
Best acquaintance.